what I found. Hi everyone, my name is Sage.
I'm Mike.
And welcome back to our channel. So we are going to share with you today all the things that we've been learning about one of the most important resources whenever you are planning your journey of living off of grid, and that is of water. Water is life.
Yeah, no kidding.
And the information that we wanted to share with you all today is really just to share the things that we've come across. Now, we're still learning so much as we go. However, we wanted to at least share it with you all for those of you that are currently doing that research for yourselves. And of course, full disclosure, we are not experts at this.
Far from it.
We are humbly stumbling along the way and just sharing along the way. And of course, at any point in seeing this video, if you also have any other ideas or maybe something in our knowledge that maybe we need corrected, we are totally open.
Absolutely.
We're just being an open book with that today, and with all these things that we're learning. And so we're going to talk on the topic of water. So water, there's kind of, yes, you know, from our videos, you'll hear our birds. So as far as water, for us, we found that there are really two major aspects to look at with water. Is first and foremost, the source of the water. If you're going to be off grid, you have to obviously evaluate what is going to be your source of water. And then lastly, what is your reservoir going to be, meaning your tank. And so those were the two major things we wanted to touch on today to share with you all. And so as far as source of water, so there's a number of ways that somebody could go about this. Obviously, it just depends on somebody's accessibility and really just what is available and feasible on their plot of land. Now, because we have our house sitting on family land and it is currently an existing property, we got into contact with the local drilling company,
yes,
which you did, and you can kind of share how that was.
Yeah, you know, I just gave them a call and basically just asked them, you know, what does that process look like as to, you know, being able to drill a hole on our land, you know, to see if we can find any kind of, you know, water. And he's like, well, he asked me, he's like, well, you know, where's your land at? So I gave him the specific the area where it was at. And he's like, well, that's gonna be very challenging because that's a 50-50 chance of you actually finding water in that area. Mm-hmm. And if you do happen to find water in that area, you're gonna find high levels of iron in it.
Because it's clay soil.
Correct, right. And so that obviously can stain your sinks, your toilets, and even ruin your clothes, you know, it can turn orange and all that such. Mm-hmm. So that's a big problem, obviously. So I was like, okay, so if you were able to drill a hole and you actually did find water on our land, what would it look like as to being able to get like say like a filter, you know, to filter out the iron? And he's like, well, if that was the scenario for you, then it would be like probably like $20,000 to get that whole thing set up. I'm like, oh, okay. So, hey, at least we know. Yeah.
Yeah, which is something that, hey, if it's a 50-50 shot, that's possibly $20,000 down the drain, no pun intended. So yeah, that obviously wasn't going to be an option for us based on obviously the state of the property, but also just the cost effectiveness that was not available with that option. And so for some people, they might be able to obviously get a well drilled and have that be very accessible to them. But if anybody is looking at a particular property and maybe hasn't bought one yet, we would highly encourage, if you're really considering a piece of property, what we have also gained advice from is that even if you're just looking at a property and you're really considering putting an offer on it, call the local utility companies in that area to figure out if the utilities that you're wanting to work towards being off grid is possible, right? Because every county is different.
Yep.
Water accessibility on certain pieces of land, they're pretty knowledgeable, especially local drilling companies, of what has worked and what has not worked in that area. And it really is another determination that will let you know, okay, is this a good piece of property to really get? Or best case scenario, you already have it available on your property. Which is great.
It's awesome.
We have friends that literally they bought their properties and they already had a well, which is so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
But with that said, of course, if you're about to drill a well, call a surveyor. Have the surveyor look at the land so you're not hitting any electrical lines, water lines, anything like that. But overall, that is one consideration, is with a well. So because of our situation, we do not have access to a well. There is also water delivery options. Now, I have a particular friend who has a water delivery option, although, you pay a lot for that. This particular friend lives up in the mountains, and so that's quite a trek just to get water up to them in Arizona, actually, in the mountains of Arizona. And so with water delivery, for us, we would have, give or take, our goal is to have a 2,500 gallon water tank. And so I got a quote from the local water delivery service there. There was really only one major one, and it was for Culligan. And it's a great option that I'm glad is available to us, but we were looking at $1,800 to fill up for up to 6,000 gallons. That's not bad, right? That's actually feasible if that price is, valid for up to 6,000 gallons, right? But that's for every time they come out. So based on our predicted usage, maybe needing to fill up every couple years and whatnot, it's there. But if we don't have to do it, what's the third option? And so I would say the third option is if you can possibly come to an agreement or barter with a neighbor. That actually could work really well too.
Yeah.
It might take a little bit more legwork depending how far your neighbor is, right? You could fill up some tanks there that you already have loaded onto a truck, or if that neighbor is nearby and they can run a hose to you.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. we were fortunate enough that we had that option.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough with that because our dad essentially will be our neighbor. And we can hook up some serious water hoses to go far enough to run the water. And then our agreement with, our dad is to really just pay for that water bill that month every time we fill up, which for us, like we said, is determining maybe every couple of years, maybe 2.5 years. But those are kind of the three options. Maybe it's well access, maybe it is water delivery, maybe it is, coming up with some type of neighbor agreement or bartering. That's not something that's terribly uncommon. I have another friend who's also out in Moapa, Nevada, and that's what they do with their neighbor, and they live out in the middle of the desert. God bless them, they're such warriors, I swear. But yeah, that is an option. And so with that said, I know that obviously we just talked about the source of water, whether it's getting water delivery or neighbor agreement. We're referencing our notes, by the way. It's not like a board meeting or something.
No.
Is obviously talking about the tank and your reservoir and how it is you're going to store your potable drinking water. And of course, I think with any reservoir, my husband's going to go into it, but with any reservoir, you obviously have to make sure it is a food grade reservoir, making sure that either one has the proper coating that actually is made for potable water. And so, we did some research on that with a couple of different options to help make our decision. But Mike was going to share kind of those different pros and cons of one or the other, and ultimately what the ballpark price range was for us.
Right. But anyhow, I know she, kind of like segued into, to the different types of tanks, what are the pros and cons and such, So with polyethylene resin tanks, as far as for what you can get, it's very cost effective, right? Easier to set in place and move, and they can last up to like 20 plus years, which is pretty awesome, right? Better warranty coverage, less ongoing maintenance, same water, quality, and very strong tanks as long as no bulging or warping happens or anything of that nature. It also makes variety in different color options, which is pretty cool. And versatile storage options, like deck, do underground, etc., things like that. So if we're considering the polyethylene tank, for ourselves, specifically, and we're probably actually going to do the underground option, which is pretty cool.
Well, we can do partially underground technically, but we would have to build, yeah.
Right. But like as far as for like the ballpark range as to the financial aspect of it, how much it costs, it's going to anywhere between $2,000 to $2,700, almost $2,800. Pretty cool, right? And then so that's the polyethylene resin tank, and then there's the stainless steel tank, right, which is much more expensive, right? It lasts longer for sure. It probably lasts up to like anywhere between 30 to 40 years, as far as for the lifespan of it goes. Need more of a solid foundation, that's for sure, because obviously it's stainless steel, and it's not best to be moved as well, right? Good coverage, as far as for the warranty goes, but higher likelihood of corrosion that can happen, right? Same water quality, if no corrosion is happening. Very strong tanks, but less impact resistant, and can be manufactured to hold higher capacities than poly tanks, right? And you're looking as far as for the financial aspect of it goes, you're looking at probably like $6,300 and plus.
Well, and that's based on just current quotes. So we have got here as of July 2024, as you're seeing this.
Right.
Whenever you're watching it, it might not be July 2024.
Right.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, honey, because those are definitely different things to look at whenever you're evaluating what kind of tank should I get. And I think a lot of the times, there's pros and cons to both of them, like my husband is so well listed out, but that ultimately it's like, is it going to do the same job? What is the most important thing for your particular property, for whether you're using it for household, or if it's, for a garden and you're going to have it as a rainwater collection tank, then you probably make your decisions off of that. But overall, our decision was definitely the polyethylene resin tank.
Yeah.
And as before we started recording this video, I even found one that was just under $2,000. So look out for sales, guys, because it is worth it. And so overall, that's really just what we wanted to share with you all today, was our research on our water tanks. And so in the next video, hopefully, God willing, we're going to share with you the solar research. Now, for those of you that just kind of saw my face and said, wow, she doesn't look super excited to share about solar research.
For both of us, honestly.
Oh my gosh. It really and truly is speaking another language and understanding electricity beyond just obviously using it. And so that has been taking us quite a bit of time to research. And so I appreciate you all in advance. We appreciate you all in advance for your patience in that, because we are wanting to make sure that we obviously deliver and share with you all thorough research.
But also that's correct as well.
Correct as well for our particular situation, so that at least you can take from our example and apply it to your particular numbers and situation, living quarters and all of that. And that's going to take some time. We have actually a new friend that we had just met at a other friend's wedding over this past weekend, who happened to coincidentally be an electrical engineer.
Right, and he was so gracious enough to actually offer his, expertise. He's been doing it for like 10 plus years.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my gosh.
So grateful
that
for
was
him.
crazy. I was like, it was amazing that we just literally happened to sit with him and his girlfriend, and he was so willing to, offer his help for us, so which is pretty cool.
Yes, and we're so grateful for that. So with his help, Jordan, thank you if you're watching this. We so appreciate you. And we will definitely, of course, be sharing those resources in the next video. And stay tuned. And so if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for even just, hopefully this is helpful for you.
Yeah.
And of course, if this is your first time visiting our channel, please feel free to subscribe and join us on this journey of going off grid towards sustainability and if you are even a subscriber of ours, thank you so much as well, as we really enjoy the connections that we get to have with you all and the incredible journeys that you all are taking in your lives too, or just sharing even what inspires you to want to do the same. And so sending all of our love, God bless to you all, and we will talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.